I want to show you guys the big, huge storm. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to activate my camera. Where's my camera? Balmy 55 degrees, huh, Kim? All right, Riverside, California. Excellent. All right, guys, you ready? You ready for this? So check this out. I'm going to take you over to my balcony here. That we're in the Qualsis, Utah office. I'm going to freeze myself by doing this, but I woke up this morning and there was 2 or 3 inches of snow out here. So this is looking out. This is the door on my office, but you can see we are just inundated with snow. Lots of, and it's still coming down too. My daughter went to the IQ panel this morning and said, "Daddy, according to the weather, today it's going to be snowy and windy." And I said, "Oh yeah?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, why don't you go take a look outside?" And she went over and opened up the blinds, and sure enough, it was snowy and windy. So it's a cold, cold day here in Utah. And for those of you that were in California, you experienced a lot of rain yesterday, and all that sent down this way. Now we're getting lots of snow here in Utah. Colorado's going to get it next, and it's going to keep headed that way towards the East Coast. So enjoy your warm weather, Jerry, because it's about to get chilly. Kim, welcome. Glad to see you joining us. Thank you, Stephen. Windy and sunny in Chicago, or in Ohio, excuse me. Rochester, New York, 68 degrees. Wow, you guys are living the dream. Boy, fantastic, fantastic. Well, welcome everyone. We're really glad to have everyone here. Before we get started, I want to ask a quick poll. I want to know if this is your first Qualsis webinar. If you've been to one before, or if you've not, I'm curious to know, how many of you are first timers and how many of you are veterans. So quickly vote for me there, and we'll see kind of yeah, about what I expected. 75% of you have been on before, and then we've got some brand new ones here. So that's great. Welcome all those of you who haven't been to one of our webinars before. Really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day. We'll try and keep it short too. We don't want you to take up too much time out of your day. We want you to get some valuable information that you can use throughout the coming week, throughout the holiday season, etc. And then you can go on with your day. So I'm going to go ahead and close that poll now. And then I've got one more poll that I want to ask you. Are you currently installing the IQ panel or the DSC Touch? And the options, of course, are yes, no, or not yet, but soon. Maybe you're imminently planning on installing those devices. But curious to know how many of you are current customers and understand this stuff and are looking to get more information versus how many of you are still kind of evaluating and learning and trying to get yourselves on board. So, okay, that's a good mix. So it's about what I expected. It's a lot of people installing the IQ panel or DSC Touch already. That's great. That's really great. Well, and like I said, there's a very big group here today, and we're excited to have all of you on to talk about the 2015 products that we've launched this year. And the goal of this webinar is really for us to quickly review each of the products. We've done individual webinars about these products as we've launched them throughout the year. And now here's a second chance for you to take another look at them, to ask more questions about them, things like that. Because there are so many, we'll want to move kind of quickly. But the main goal for this is for you guys to feel comfortable with it. Before we begin, I want to turn some time over to Shannon Murphy. I don't know how many of you guys know Shannon. Shannon's been a good friend of mine for many years. In fact, Shannon, I think we first met at ESX in 2013. And you came up to me and you were walking around selling pins for canine something or other, right? And you were like, "Do you want to buy a pin?" It was for charity, right?
Yes, it was the World Foundation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it was kind of fun to meet you there, and we've been fast friends ever since. And it's always great to see you at various events. I got to see Shannon last week at the California Alarm Association, where we got to have some good conversations. Shannon is the vice president of sales and marketing for ESA, so it's really great to have her here and talking a little bit. And Shannon, you shared something with me last week that I thought was really, really interesting. It's a mentorship program whereby new dealers, younger dealers, can learn from those that are more experienced than they are. And it's an opportunity for those that are, been in the industry for a while, those who've, kind of made their bones and figured out how to do things, to share their best practices, and one for the younger ones to really take some of those best practices and combine that with their innovation. So I wanted to turn some time over to Shannon to let her kind of explain how that program works, and if you wanted to, to get involved, you could. And I'm going to make you the presenter here so that you can share a couple slides here
Perfect.
too, Shannon. So, and you should have access
Okay.
there, and you could be able to pull that. Oh, I guess I got to close this poll. Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
It hasn't given me control yet.
Yeah. No, there you go. It was because I had to pull up on the screen. Okay. So Shannon, tell us about this mentorship program. So this is an opportunity for people to really learn from other experts in the industry, right?
Correct. Jeremy, thank you so much for inviting me today, and hello to everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day so far. I will be very quick, but I did want to share this exciting news with everybody. So as Jeremy mentioned, we do have a new mentorship program that we've just launched here at ESA. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Electric Security Association's mentorship program. And what we've done is our Young Security Professionals group, along with our executive management professionals group, have come together to develop this really exciting program. And it's a 9-month structured program that has a lot of really great professional development content built into it, along with events and education on site at events as well. So there's a quick overview here, hopefully, that you can see on the screen. And what we're doing is we're going to be kicking this program off at our Leadership Summit, which is taking place in January. It's January 31st to February 3rd out in Chandler, Arizona. We're going to limit this first class to 25 mentor-mentee pairs. And we are still accepting applications. So if you're interested in either being a mentor or a mentee, or if you have other rising leaders in your organization that this would make sense for, we would love to get their applications. The main commitment is that pairs will meet for a minimum of 2 hours per month, and that can be either in person or via phone or video conference. And we've built some special events into the overall program that I'll show you as well. So how it's going to work is we do have the kickoff call scheduled for June 15th. We're going to finalize all of the pairs within the next couple of weeks and then officially kick the program off with a call on the 15th. But the whole entire class of 2016 will be announced at our Leadership Summit. We are going to make sure that philanthropy and government relations are two key pieces to the program components. Those are 2 of the 4 pillars that our young security professionals have developed for the strategic plan for the group for 2016 and beyond. So we'll have some things that are built into the program where we're going to encourage and hopefully enable folks that are a part of the program to get involved and either give back to their communities or through our ESA Gives Back, which is actually what Jeremy was mentioning at the beginning of the conversation. Each year we do choose a charity to support, and we try to help our industry get involved and behind those charities. And then government relations is, of course, extremely important as well, so that's going to be a piece of the puzzle. We also have built in different events and elements to the program, as I had mentioned. So the Leadership Summit, as you can see here, is kind of the first meeting in person. And we do have a lot of education that's built into that event. If you're interested in checking it out, the website for that is esa-summit.com. And then all of the mentor-mentee pairs are going to have the first book of the program completed by the end of March, and that's Sacred Cows Make the Best Burgers. Some of you may have heard or already read of this book, but it's a fantastic book that helps drive people and organizations through change. Next, we do have a web that's built program, and that's going to be on corporate social responsibility. So again, kind of weaving that philanthropic piece into it. And then ESX, which is our trade show, is also part of the program, and that's in June. It will be held in Fort Worth this year. And then we'll have another webinar in August, another book that's part of the program, and then the entire program will actually culminate at our Young Professionals Rising Leaders Forum, which is actually going to be held in the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be in October of next year. We'll have a lot of different resources and tools put together for the groups and all of the participants. We're going to have a mentorship portal that's going to contain a lot of different checklists and program best practices, and everything to kind of keep you on track to ensure that the program is successful both for mentors and for mentees. So that's just kind of that high-level overview of what we're putting together, and we're going to be pairing people from across the country. We're going to be certainly sensitive to any competitive issues that there may be, and make sure that we have the right mentors and mentees put together for this program to be
So how
successful.
are you choosing it? If someone decides that they want to, let's say a mentee, a young service professional wants to
Mhm.
participate in this, what characteristics are you looking for? What kind of qualities, things like that are you looking for?
Absolutely. So we have a whole application process, and I can certainly, Jeremy, send you that information if you'd like to shoot it out to folks.
Okay.
And on the screen here, there are some desired traits of mentees. So certainly the ability to clearly state their personal objectives for the program, but through the application process, we're going to gauge their specific interests and goals, and then make sure that we're pairing them up with mentors that have similar goals or areas of expertise. So we're really going to try to use that application to appropriately pair people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a snapshot of the mentee side. On the mentor side, we obviously need folks who are willing to share information and their perspective, and of course valuable lessons learned, and the ability to give balanced feedback, because we want this to be a really positive experience for everybody involved. There's definitely some frequently asked questions that I've built out in here, so you do need to be an ESA member to participate. If you're not a member but you're really interested in this program, just let me know and we can certainly get you signed up. It's a very painless process. And then, of course, you have to go through the application process, as it says here. And we do need to make sure that all mentees get approval from their managers as well, so that they can commit to the program. And we know that their superiors are okay with the commitment and the time that they're going to put in to kind of continue their professional development within their organization as well. So not all pairs, or not all folks that submit applications will be accepted, because we are going to limit it to the 25 pairs. But we will do our best to try to get everybody involved as best we can. And if not, we're going to have a waiting list for the class of 2017 that we'll set up as well. So if anybody's interested, or if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I don't want to take too much time. So my contact information is here on the screen, and I'm happy to help anybody who has any questions.
There you go. So guys, email her or give her a call if you've got questions. Of course, like she said, the application process itself should answer most of your questions. But great opportunity for you to learn. Here at Qualsys, it's one of the things we always encourage people is to always be innovating, and that's not just in the hardware or the equipment or the services you provide, but just in the way that you do business and how you interact and things like that. And if you can learn something from each other, there's a very good chance that the mentees will be able to share fresh and exciting ideas with the mentors that could help help their business as well. So really, both groups are going to benefit a lot from this. And Shannon, I really appreciate you taking some time to jump on the call today and tell us about this. So guys, again, there's the phone number, there's the email if you want to give Shannon a call and have her get you more information or how to participate in the program. Then please reach out to her. Well, let's get started.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. And if you want to stick around for the rest of the webinar, you're certainly welcome to. Otherwise, feel free to hop off. I know you're very busy and you've got other things to do. So, but thanks again for taking the time to come talk to us. And I'll talk to you soon, hopefully. So, guys, let's talk about our 2015 product summary. Oh, you know what? I just made this full screen and I didn't get my question thing up. I want to be able to make sure that I can see your questions as they pop up as well. Okay, so we're going to start here. 2015 products review. This is, I think, going to be really exciting because I think we're going to, be able to get a lot of questions popped in here. So again, feel free to pop your questions in right when you get them. As a quick review, Qualsys, for those of you that are brand new, is short for Quality of Life Systems. We are dedicated to improving the quality of life through innovation and technology. And all the devices we're going to talk about today that we've launched here this year are compatible with the IQ panel. The IQ panel is a 7-inch Android touchscreen with everything you need built into it. It acts as the brain of your smart home. It's your local interface inside the home. When people ask us what the difference is, it's a 7-inch touchscreen. It's got an integrated panel camera. We love the dual path communication, the simultaneous Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity that allows it to be really effective in almost every install, no matter where you put it. Automatic updates is my personal favorite. The fact that, whatever the panel is now, it will continue to improve over time. My phone gets new apps all the time, and I love it. My apps on my phone get new updates, and I get to see new features, new things, and allows me to give feedback on what I want. If there's a particular app I like, I will oftentimes write the developers or write a review and say, this is the kind of thing I'd like to see out of this in the future because it would work better for me. And sometimes that feedback gets implemented into the next version. It's nice to be able to have something that continually updates itself on a regular basis. And our dedication to continually improving the panel is evident in all the software updates we've been able to do over the air since we launched the product a few years ago. With that remote connectivity comes, reduction in truck rolls, the ability to be DIY ready. And of course, we built in those help videos that we've talked about so many times, where if a customer has a question, the 15 most common questions that occur within the first 90 days are, available in video format right there from the help icon on the bottom of the screen. And then custom text to speech. My wife and I were talking about this just yesterday as we were pairing another device and talking about how great it was that we could call it the name of the device it actually is. My mother was impressed that our Christmas tree had a dimmer switch on it, and she wanted to know how the heck I was able to get the panel to say upstairs Christmas tree. How did you know that? Like, how could you do that? And I explained, you type it in on the keyboard. And she seemed to think that was some amazing thing. Of course, we all know that keyboards and on phones and things like that have been around for a while, so it seems almost second nature to us. But especially when you compare it to some of the other products that are out there, it's really exciting to be able to have the ability to custom name things exactly what they are to really help the customer feel like it's their panel, it's their home. So when we talk about all the full line of smart sensors and devices we have, there are a lot of those that came out this year. The Mini Extended, the doorbell, the smoke, the temp, the flood, the light bulb, the siren, the dimmer, the outlet, the Hardwire 16, the Hardwire 8, and the IQ2. It's really a phenomenal number of products. So we're going to try and talk about as many of those as we can today. And again, if you've got questions about them, please feel free to type your question into the question box. Just go over to your GoToWebinar control panel and either type into the chat or the questions and get those in there. So let's start with the DoorW Mini, the DW Mini. That's a door window mini sensor. It is running off of the 319.5 megahertz frequency. It comes in both white and brown. If you're familiar with our standard sensor, what we also sometimes call the brick, which by industry standards is actually still, a decent size. It's actually, a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner than some of the other sensors that are out there. But the mini sensor, you can see, is a lot smaller in comparison. And inside, we've packed double batteries, so you're going to get an 8 to 10 year battery life. We've redesigned the board. You can see the antenna there is raised up off the board, and that allows you to not only get better range, but it also has made it so we can put it on almost any surface. So metal doors, no problem. And the board itself, the antenna itself, is in the top cover of that board, of the sensor, instead of down on the bottom next to the door. So again, increasing that range and improving the locations where you can place this and the interference that might occur. We include a rare earth magnet as opposed to standard magnets, which gives you a nice wide gap. I personally have tested that gap as far apart as an inch. So nice wide gap on that. And then we also inside have a little tearaway tamper tab, which if you choose to use that, you just put a little screw in there. And then if someone rips that sensor off the wall, it pulls the plastic off, and that tamper tab stays on the wall or door. And then of course the tamper button is triggered immediately. So it's a great little device. There's two ways you can pair it with the IQ panel. You can pair it as a security sensor, or you could pair it as a safety sensor. And safety sensors, we're calling these more and more, we're calling these activity sensors, or for activity monitoring and things like that. We'll give you some ideas of places where you use it. So the difference between those, a security sensor, we'll still do chime and voice, so it'll make a little chime sound, and it will also speak its name, front door open, back door open, etc. And that will trigger your alarm system, your siren, when you're armed in either stay or away mode. Chime and voice occurs, of course, in either one, but when your panel's disarmed and you just open up the front door, you're going to hear that front door open. Or you open up, Jenny's bedroom window, it's going to say Jenny's bedroom window open. So, of course, that departure, the magnet from the sensor departure during an alarm state, causes that siren to either go into countdown or to trigger the siren immediately, depending on what kind of sensor it is. You could also learn this in as a safety sensor. A safety sensor will still give you chime and voice, but with a little bit of difference. The chime and voice actually triggers both opens and closes. So my front door will chime when it's open because it's a security sensor. My medicine cabinet, however, chimes when it's both opened, medicine cabinet open, and when it's closed, medicine cabinet closed. Which is nice because on safety sensors especially, whether you have it on a safe or a medicine cabinet or a chemical closet, whatever, it's kind of nice to be able to know that when it's been opened and that it's been then closed shortly thereafter. Now this is independent from the security system. And you could either choose to have it trigger just a chime, or you could have it choose to trigger a siren. Maybe you put it on a safe and you want that to, the siren to go off immediately. But that's regardless of your home security stay or away status. If your security system was armed stay and you've got a safety sensor on your medicine cabinet, in the middle of the night, the kids get sick, you need to go get some of that medicine, you do that, and it's not going to set off your alarm because all it's going to do is say medicine cabinet open. Conversely, if the system is disarmed, if I go into that medicine cabinet, again, it's not going to arm the system. It has nothing to do with the actual security system itself. It's independent from that security system. So it's a great way of arming something for a safe, for example. If I put a safety sensor on that safe and the security system is disarmed and someone tries to open that safe without first going to the panel and typing in the appropriate user code, then the alarm will go off and you'll start hearing, a siren throughout the house. So it's a great way to protect things year round. Some people call them 24-hour sensors. Some people call them mini partitions. But safety sensors are a great way to pair things. And a door window sensor is great to put on all sorts of things. You could put them on exterior doors, windows, interior doors. You could put it on the fridge to remind you that the fridge was left open. You could put one on your mailbox. Of course, it's not rated for outdoors, but if you've got a type of mailbox that would allow you to, protect that and not have it get ruined by the elements, or if it was within range of the panel. Obviously, some people have mailboxes that are out on the street or things like that, but if it was close enough, you would be able to know that the mailbox was open and therefore, the mail's there. You can go pick it up. Put it on a safe, like we mentioned. Put it on a drawer. Put it on a cabinet. Could be, where you keep the chemicals. Could be where you keep important papers or ammunition or, whatever it is. So got some great questions coming in there. Trying to bring products to Brazil. The frequency is currently 921.42 megahertz in Brazil. Yeah, we're not currently developing this sensor with that frequency yet, but keep close to our production teams and our international team, and it's something that we obviously want to be able to provide these sensors and devices to everyone. So thanks for the comment, Vladimir. What's the reliable distance from the sensor to the panel? That's a great question. I think officially, if you look at the paperwork, it says like 300 or 400 feet open air. Of course, that always depends on the environment. It depends on what your house is made of. It depends on what your walls are made of. It depends on what kind of roofing you have and what other things are inside the house. I personally have taken this mini sensor and compared it to the distance of our standard size sensor. Remember, I showed you that just a few minutes ago. I compared these two. Kevin Woodworth and I, our Director of Technical Account Management, paired each of these sensors and walked throughout our building here at the office, and were able to get the equivalent. You guys saw earlier today when I was showing you the field out there behind the golf course out there on my balcony. We were able to get the equivalent of like halfway down that, and it was actually the other direction over in the parking lot. But the IQ Mini dropped off about 15 feet before the standard door window sensor did. And we really got some very impressive distance. Now, again, here in our office, there might be less interference than in your home. There might be more. It really depends on your own personal scenario and the scenario in the home where you're installing this. But that's one of the great things about that redesigned board, is that it really gives you almost standard sensor performance in a very small form factor, which is very exciting, I know, for a lot of people who don't like to see those sensors quite a bit. So talk about installation ideas. The Mini also comes in an extended version. That extended version still has double batteries, still has the raised antenna and the redesigned board. We did add a terminal block on it for wiring external contacts. Other than that, it's really identical. And both the Mini, the IQ Mini and this IQ Mini Extended became the platforms by which we were able to build multiple other devices, the most popular of which has been the IQ doorbell. The IQ doorbell is absolutely awesome. This is probably one of my favorite sensors we do. It wires directly into your existing doorbell chime unit, just like this. Very simply, you simply take the cover off of it, wire it directly in, and then you just peel your adhesive and stick it on the side. It's small enough that it fits inside that cover, and you don't have to replace the doorbell button on the front of the house. You don't have to lose that chime unit inside the house. You know, this is mine, which is kind of dusty and dirty. Actually, this might even be Jenny's. But you know, most houses have some kind of doorbell chime unit in their home, and you know, with other solutions out there on the market, which we didn't think were great, you lost your ability to have your regular doorbell work. It would only work on the panel. Well, now it actually works everywhere. So it'll still work in your chime box. It rings on the IQ panel. It rings on your IQ2s, as many as you've got throughout the house, or not. You could, you know, choose to turn those, you know, the sounds and chimes off on one of those things so it doesn't disturb you or things like that. My wife personally, in my life, my wife said, I want an IQ2 downstairs because when someone rings the doorbell, I can't hear it when I'm in the basement. So we put that IQ2 downstairs, and now when someone rings that bell, voila, you can hear it. It says, you know, it's a ding dong sound, and it says, you know, IQ doorbell open, which we're working on not just saying open anymore. We're working on, in a future software update, being able to just have it say, you know, ringing or whatever. But again, super exciting to have something that installs so easily into the home, and allows you to make your standard doorbell a smart doorbell. And with that, you could do a lot of really cool things. You could automate your porch light. So I've got it set so that when after 5 p.m. if my doorbell rings, it automatically turns on the porch light. You could have it set so that it turns it on and leaves it on, or when you ring the bell, it turns it on and then the light turns itself off after 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 2 hours or 1 minute or whatever time you set. You can get a text message when the alert, you know, when that doorbell's rung. You can get a video camera. In fact, I've talked to dealer after dealer who says the IQ doorbell is awesome, not just because of what it does, but because almost inevitably your customers who get a text message that says the doorbell was open, they're like, well, I want to see who's there. He goes, and they tell us, boy, right there, I just sold them an exterior camera where I wouldn't have before. So really nice to be able to have that doorbell not only be a way to automate things for you, but be a way for you to drive more business into your own business too. So very excited. Let's see. Next one is IQ Flood. IQ Flood is built on that IQ Mini extended platform. It comes with I believe it's now a 10-foot cable. It's either a 6-foot or a 10-foot. I need to verify that. But it's a nice long cable, and you can, of course, trim that if you need to. There's screw holes on the little water bug itself that allows you to mount it to the floor or against the baseboard. It's still communicating to the panel using Security RF 319.5. And it allows you to put it, you know, anywhere that water might be there. Maybe you want to put it under a water heater. Maybe it's under a sink, near your washing machine, near your fridge and freezer. Basically, anywhere that a leak could occur, that water could be detected, you want to put one there. I personally have them in every single one of those locations because I don't want to have to deal with the kind of damage. And the nice thing is, you know, with some of the Z-Wave water flow valves out there, you could not only have the ability to test and see when water's being detected, but then also be able to create a rule that says automatically shut off my water, so that if the water heater bursts, for example, it would allow the water to shut off so it doesn't just keep flowing water and flooding your whole basement. If you go to floodsmart.gov, you can kind of use their little flood scenario estimator, and 1,000 square foot house with 4 inches of water, an estimated damage or repair cost of $15,000. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that's a huge amount of money that you're going to potentially save someone just with this tiny little sensor. And I have a hard time believing that anybody who sees this device and understands this type of scenario wouldn't want to get at least one somewhere near their water heater, under a sink, something like that. So I always tell people, at least tell them that it's available and that you can have it, and tell them that, if they're not willing to pay for it now, that maybe they want to add it to their wish list, and 6 months down the road you'll reach out to them again, and they can maybe add it at that point. So let's see if there's any questions on any of these devices so far. Rudy, can we get a copy of these slides? Absolutely. In fact, Rudy, one of the things that we've gotten, we do on a regular basis is we record these webinars and then we put them on our YouTube page. So you can go to youtube.com/Qualsys and download, not download, but stream this webinar again, and we'll make sure that you got a link to that in the follow-up email we send out tomorrow. But we've also had significant requests for people wanting to be able to use this same content in their sales scenarios. So one of the things that Whitney is going to be able to going to start doing for us is exporting these into PowerPoint format and putting them on the dealer portal so that you can then use this content for your sales scenarios. Build your own sales slicks, your own sales decks, things like that. So very, very exciting. Let's see. Jake points out he used to use 2 competitor companies, and the systems cost thousands of dollars, are now becoming available through systems like Qualsys at a fraction of the price. Automation possibilities are endless. You're absolutely right, Jake, and thanks for pointing that out. That's one of the things I love so much about this is some of the things that used to be so expensive. The thought of installing a water shutoff valve that was remotely accessible. The thought of putting in a sensor that detects flood waters, things like that. Temperature sensors, all these kind of things. They used to be very, very expensive, and now they're not only becoming affordable, but with all the automation possibilities, the ability to get a notification on your phone, the ability to almost self-monitor your home's health through the app, it really makes it well worth it for a consumer to get this kind of stuff. And again, a lot of it is an awareness campaign on your part. You as marketers, you as installers, you've got to make your customers aware of this stuff. Help them understand what they can do. Help them understand that it is possible to know when water is starting to flood their house, and that if they know that, they're typically willing to spend a little bit of money to make sure that happens. And whether that's a little bit up front, or it is maybe something a little bit more added to their monthly cost, something like that. You decide how the best to do it, and maybe you offer them options. People love options, right? Maybe I want to say that a flood sensor costs, $40 or whatever it is today, sir, but you can either pay that $40 to me up front, or I could simply add $2 a month to your monthly bill, and that will cover the cost of it. You decide how you want to do it, but make sure that they at least understand that that's a possibility for them, and they've got the choice to say yes or no to it. Andrew asks, will the water sensor integrate with a Z-Wave shutoff valve? Yes and no. It doesn't integrate directly with it. What the water sensor does, the IQ Flood, integrates with the IQ panel. And when it's connected to the IQ panel as part of the system, as is a Z-Wave water shutoff valve, you would then go into alarm.com and create a rule that says, if flood sensor detects water, then shut off a valve. Worst case scenario, you set up something, if you don't want to do a rule around that, you could get a text message that says, flood sensor detecting water, and then you go into your alarm.com account, into your app, and shut off that water shutoff valve so that there's no chance that flood's going to continue on. So, and you can do that manually. So either way you want to do it, it really works well. Here's another great question. Andrew asks, can I attach a Honeywell water sensor to the Mini and get the same result? So that would be to the Mini Extended, this one here. Could you attach the water bug for that to this and make that work? I don't know if that does, because this typically pairs in as a, it might actually. In fact, I'm going to see if Kevin or Jeremy Blakeney's on the line, because they could probably better answer that question. In fact, Whitney, will you go ask them if that works or no? I'm not familiar with the Honeywell water bug, and I don't know if you'd be able to wire that in directly to the mini extended or even the IQ flood and do it that way. But if you'll find that out for me, Whitney, and then you can let us know. All right, well, let's continue on. All right, temperature sensors. Temperature sensors are one of those things that kind of felt like, at least for me, and from my dealer days when I worked for a very large top 10 STM dealer, we almost never talked about temperature sensors. It was one of those things that's like, yeah, we've got it, but no one ever asks for it, and we don't know when you want to use it. But more and more, I see a great value for temperature sensors, especially. We've never tried it, is the verdict, she says. So, Andrew, try it out. Try out putting that Honeywell water sensor and attaching it to the mini extended, and let us know. We haven't tried it, and we'd be curious to know what you find out. So, thanks for the feedback. So, as I was saying, more and more I'm seeing the Alarm.com wellness features that integrate with the IQ panel becoming more and more popular, especially down in areas where, like Texas, Florida, things like that, where there's a growing number of elderly people who want to stay in their homes, or people who are caring for their parents, and that we're no longer just shipping them off to homes or things like that. Where many of you probably even have your parents or someone with medical issues living in your own homes today. Well, as you're here at the office listening to a webinar with us, are you aware if your HVAC has failed at home? And if that, here I am sitting in the snow, there's 2 or 3 inches of snow outside. If I had an elderly mother who was at home and maybe didn't have the capacity to call out on the phone, or maybe was so involved in jeopardy, didn't even think about it, and my HVAC failed and the air conditioner or the heater wouldn't stop working, and that temperature is dropping and dropping and dropping in the house, I wouldn't want to wait to get home and find out that I've got a grandma sickle sitting in a chair to do something about it. Having these little temperature sensors all throughout your house, will send an alert if something ends up getting too hot or too cold. You don't want to have to wait and find out that your pipes are burst to know that your house got too cold because your heater broke. All of these little things work together. A temperature sensor lets you know that it's getting too cold. That lets you know maybe there's a problem with your heater or air conditioner. That then lets you know that you need to do something about it. So before the IQ flood has to detect the fact that there's a flood. So all these devices working together to give you real-time understanding of what's going on in your home. Now, there's a common question about the IQ temp. Can I see what the temperature is inside my home right now? No, that's what your thermostat is for. However, this will send an alert to you on your panel or on your phone if the temperature drops below 40 degrees or above or goes above 100 degrees. In both of those cases, that's a pretty good indication that there's A, some severe weather, and B, that you've got some kind of HVAC failure. Again, simple to mount. It just, a piece of adhesive sticks onto the wall there, and you learn it in as 2 separate zones as well. You can choose, do I want to learn it in as just the heat, just the cool, or both? But it's one single sensor that does that. And it's great to know when you need HVAC service, to help protect the elderly, pets. If you've got infirm or hospice care in your home, it can help protect those. So great to have those devices throughout the home as well. Make sure there's no questions here I want to address. I think we're good. Let's keep on going. IQ light bulb. IQ light bulb is a 9-watt LED bulb. So as opposed, but it's got 60-watt equivalent. So it gives you 60 watts of brightness in only a 9-watt bulb. It's completely dimmable. Very simple to install. Obviously, it's going to go into any standard socket. And because it's plugged into your home's power and it runs on Z-Wave, it also acts as a Z-Wave repeater. So for those of you that are going out and buying a Z-Wave repeater and putting it in the hall so that your door lock at the front door will work better, or the thermostat back in in the living room can reach the panel where it is installed, or things like that. Instead, do a light bulb. Then they've got some lighting automation in there. It's really cool. I mean, you can dim it right there on the IQ panel. You can dim it from your phone, from the mobile app. And to prevent you from accidentally turning that switch off, it even comes with what we call the light switch lock bracket. It's just a little bracket that screws right into. I thought I was going to sneeze. Nope, false alarm. It's just a little bracket that screws right into the wall plate, and it works for both Decora and standard switches, and it would then cover up that switch so that you don't accidentally turn it off. And if you wanted to turn it off, you just simply rotate that lock bracket to the right, and it allows you to flip the switch on and off. But I love using the IQ light bulb on the lights that I like in my house to be automated. My front porch light, the coach lights on the outside of the house, the back porch light, things like that. Things that I like to have some type of automation, whether it's triggered by a doorbell or just by the time of day. My coach lights on the front of my house automatically turn themselves on at dusk and will turn themselves off again at midnight. So I've got a little bit of safety and illumination during the evening hours if people are coming to visit my home, things like that. They can see as they walk up the driveway. But then late at night, it turns themselves off, so I'm not using all that extra energy. Things like that. On the back porch, we've got a motion sensor that when you step out onto the back porch, the motion sensor detects you're standing out there, and it turns that light on, and it keeps that light on for 15 minutes, and then it turns itself off. So it's really kind of nice to have that kind of automation in place with lighting. And these aren't lights that I particularly turn on and off on a regular basis that I would use a switch on and off, but there are other lights in my home that we have those in as well, where if I'm sitting down on the couch and we want to watch a movie, instead of having to get up and take the blanket off and pull off the 16 kids that are clamoring on top of me, I can go walk over and switch the light off. I can simply pull out my watch or pull out my phone and just do flip, flip, flip. So let's check our questions. Oh, great comment here. David says they give away one with every single system. Great feedback there. I'm glad that you're doing that. And they end up selling about 2 to 3 more with the job. So they give away one and sell 2 or 3 more. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. So nice work there. Comment, would love to see this added in a kit. Well, boy, you're reading our minds there. We've gotten similar feedback, and we're actually planning on for 2016, one of the things we're planning on releasing is what we call our connected kit. And it's similar to the IQ security kit, but also includes the doorbell and a dimmer and some stuff like that. So very good. Any other questions on the light bulb, guys? If not, we'll keep on going. Lots and lots to cover today. IQ Siren. The IQ Siren is a wireless Z-Wave siren, plugs into any standard wall outlet, just like this. It runs off of Z-Wave Plus, so not only is that encrypted, but it's got better range. It has 3 LED strobe lights on it that will illuminate when an alarm is going off. And there's a pairing button right on the bottom of the unit used to pair it, but that pairing button is also used to silence it as well. So if the alarm goes off accidentally or whatever, you can just walk up and touch the bottom of that and it'll turn itself off. So great little device. And because it is plugged directly into the wall, it also acts as a Z-Wave repeater as well. So great way to get some repeating throughout the house, but also add some extra security, especially in those larger homes where maybe the IQ panel is installed somewhere where the siren wouldn't be heard on a different part of the house. You install these to strengthen the network and then also to be able to add some extra noise. So great device. Next device is the IQ dimmer. The IQ dimmer, this is what I use on my Christmas tree this year. I've got smart sockets on the ones downstairs because that's using standard lights, and I wanted to see how much energy they were using and things like that. The IQ dimmer is on the Christmas tree that we've got upstairs, and that Christmas tree's got all LED lights, so I'm less concerned about the amount of power it's drawing. But either way, whether you're using a smart socket or this IQ dimmer, you've got lots of dimmability, 99 levels of light. You can do, incrementally change how much light's being done there. It acts as a Z-wave repeater because it's plugged into the wall. Great for lamps. That little pairing button illuminates when it's on, so that button right there on the front, and you can see that, right here, illuminates when it's plugged in and operating. So great little device. And again, it does 2.5 amps of power, so great for a lamp module of some sort. And then for those of you that want to use something a little more powerful, we have the IQ outlet, and you can see the difference here is that it's also got the ground, so it looks like the smiley face on the front of it. The IQ outlet can do up to 15 amps of power. Still, just like the IQ dimmer, works as, has the pairing button. It's perfect for, any standard wall outlet. And it works for, maybe you want to use it for a fan or a space heater, a kitchen appliance of some sort, things like that. So, really start thinking about, as you start looking at whether it's the IQ light bulb or the dimmer or the outlet, start thinking about what kind of automation ideas you want to have with your customer, and help them decide what they want to do. I mean, this is their system. Get them excited about it, because the more excited and involved they are in building this system, the more they're going to want to buy and add to it as time goes on. Automating things like a doorbell. Plug one of these IQ dimmers into the hallway and plug the hallway lamp into it. And then when they ring the doorbell, create a rule that says, when doorbell rings, turn that light on. And now, voila, you've got a way to make it seem as though there's someone home. And anybody who's using the doorbell as a way of casing the joint will see that the light turns on and run away, hopefully. Do it so that it turns on automatically at sunset, as the lights dim down throughout the day, things like that. Not only does that provide a little bit of security, but then you don't have to go searching for the light switch when it's too dark. Especially if you're like me and you're either involved in a movie or, reading to your kids or, out doing something else. By the time you realize, oh my gosh, it's getting dark enough, I need to turn the lights on, and which happens sooner and sooner this time of year, wouldn't even have to worry about that because it turns itself on automatically. Of course, vacation mode's awesome, and with alarm.com, you've got that added ability to alter things during vacation mode. And those of you who've been on our webinars before, you've heard me you relate that clip from Home Alone where Joe Pesci and what's his bucket, Marv, I forget the actor's name, are sitting in the van, and he's predicting, with his watch exactly when each house is going to turn on because he's gone to their homes, he's pretended to be a cop, and he's found out that they're all on timers and they're all on vacation. Well, with alarm.com, you can go in and create a rule that says turn on automatically, but in away mode, vary this every single day, give or take 45 minutes. So on one day, it might turn on 15 minutes early, and another day, it might turn on 45 minutes late. So that way, there's really almost no way to predict exactly when that would turn on while you're on vacation. And of course, the last one, which I already mentioned as well, is, when you enter a room, pair it with a motion sensor. And when you walk into a room, you no longer have to worry about turning a light on because the motion sensor sees you're there, turns the light on, and voila, you've got lights on. So it's great. The IQ outlet, easy to install, same as the IQ dimmer. It's got that, pairing button right on the front. You could use it for a fan, use it for a space heater. That's a great use for it, especially here in the wintertime. Another great thing about doing it with a space heater is you can create a rule that says when I arm in away mode, turn off. And that increases the safety of your home. You'll never have to worry about your home accidentally burning down because of the space heater, because all the power to that space heater will be cut when you arm yourself in away mode. And it's an extra incentive to arm the system. So as I'm leaving the house, I think in my mind, ooh, I better arm the system, not just because I want to keep my house safe, but also because I want to make sure it turns off the space heaters, and I'm saving energy, and I'm not creating a risk for a fire. So lots and lots of opportunities there. Blenders, coffee makers, a lot of times, a coffee maker has some of that stuff programmed in beforehand. There's a lot of these newer ones that have it. But if not, you could put it on there and say, hey, every morning turn on at, 6 a.m. or whatever time that your customer wants to get up. So great. Let's keep on going and talk about the IQ Hardwire 16. We call this the rubber button killer. This is a Hardwire takeover device or a Hardwire translator. It's also known as. It really depends on what you're using it for. 16 zones. It's got automatic end-of-line resistor learning, onboard supervised power, a siren relay, and backup battery charging. So it's a really great device, whether you want to use it for new construction or you want to use it for like a taking over an older system, a hardwired system, you can do that. It comes in a smaller version. We call it the Hardwire 8. This is the killer's little brother. It's basically the same as the Hardwire 16, but it only has 8 zones, and the end-of-line resistor learning is still there. The backup battery charging is still there. What it doesn't have, if you look carefully, you can see it doesn't have the onboard supervised power and the siren relay. But everything else is still in there. We made 2 versions because we knew that some people would want to go with the more affordable one with only a few zones. If you're going for a larger system and want some of those extra features, then you've got the 16 available as well. And it really doesn't matter which one you're going after, whether it's new construction or existing homes. You can use the IQ panel with this device, and it allows you to take that hardwired system and convert it into one where they can have the touch screen and all the capabilities of the IQ panel, including the ability to add wireless zones as well. So, you give them that base system with, 16 zones in the hardwired, and then as they want to expand their system out and they want to do things like the doorbell, they want to do lights, they want to do locks, they want to do thermostats, things like that, all those can then be added in very easily without having to worry about doing some big construction. Included in that Hardwire 16 and the 8 as well is an antenna, a pack of resistors, a cable to connect it to a battery. It'll do the battery backup recharging, and then of course the transformer itself, which I understand a lot of companies don't include the transformer with that device, which is kind of silly because you need one every single time. So, but yeah, we include that in there. This thing can power door contacts. It can power window contacts. You can power a motion sensor. You can even do a siren up to 500 amps. Again, that's with the Hardwire 16. The 8 is a little bit more limited, but still has a lot of great capabilities. And you can leave the resistors on, especially if you're installing in an existing system. You don't have to pull your resistors off, which for those of you that have spent hours hunched over a nest of wires, you don't have to worry about doing all that splicing and trimming and retrimming and things like that. In a new construction scenario, you would need to put the resistors on. It comes with a pack of 3K resistors, either 16 resistors for the 16 or 8 for the 8. But you do need resistors on there somewhere. But if you're doing an existing system, you don't have to worry about taking those existing resistors off. It'll learn in the value, any value between 1 and 10K ohms. And it doesn't have to be the same value. Maybe you've got some resistors that are, 6K resistors, and then you need to add a few more, and then you're going to use the 3K resistors that came with it. You can mix and match as long as each individual value is between 1 and 10K. Let me check and see questions here. Will this support existing powered devices like PIRs? Yes, Mike, it will. The Hardwire 16 will. Now the Hardwire 8 does not, because it doesn't have if you look down at the bottom of the 8, those pieces are missing. On the 16, you can see those are all there. But yes, a PIR, a glass break, things like that are all supported here. Stephen asked, will you guys ever come out with a UL listed translator so we can add wired heat and smoke sensors? It's a question we get all the time, and I ask our certification department about that, and they always give me kind of a look of, boy, that's a lot of work and it's super expensive. But we get a lot of feedback that it's going to. I can't tell you if we will or not. I hope we will, just from my perspective, just so we can be able to provide you guys with something you really, really want and really need. But it is a very long and very expensive process to make that happen. So I don't have an answer for you there, unfortunately. Let's see, any other questions about any of these devices? Okay, well, guys, this has been awesome. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. As a gift, we are going to do a drawing for we call it the Ultimate Prize Pack. It's going to be one of every. Oh, we never even talked about IQ2. We're out of time too. IQ2, real quick, is the secondary tablet for the IQ panel. It is a 7-inch touchscreen. Connects over Wi-Fi. You could do up to 3 of those connected over Wi-Fi. It's got a camera built into it, although we're not using that camera currently. We probably will in the future. It's got a microphone built into it. Again, same thing. We're not currently using that, but we plan to in the future. there's a lot of great things in store for the IQ2, especially coming out over the coming year. So it's a fantastic little device. But we're going to give a prize pack of one of each of these devices. So that's going to be an IQ2, a mini extended, a doorbell, a smoke, a temp, a flood, a light bulb, a siren, a dimmer, an outlet, a 16, and an 8, all in a single prize pack. We're doing 2 of those prize packs today for you guys, because we appreciate you guys being on the webinar today. Let me get a drink of water here. And we're going to do that by random drawing. So let's see. I'm going to pick someone random on here to give me a number. Andrew, you've asked a lot of questions today. Give me a number between 1 and 100. Just type it into your chat thing there. We'll see what comes up. Okay, Andrew says 76. All right, 76. I'm looking down the list here. 76. Tina McConnell. Tina McConnell, you won the 2015 prize pack. So I hope that you'll use this in your own home when we send this out to you, that you'll take it and install this with your IQ panel in your own home. Again, if you want to use it for a customer or something like that, you're certainly welcome to. But my goal for this would be that you would use it in your own home and see how awesome they are, and be able to talk to your customers and see, share how much you love these devices. Let's do one more. Tina, since you won, why don't you give us another number? Give me a number let's do between 1 and 500 this time. Hopefully Tina can use her questions. I don't know if she's logged into the thing so she could type it. So not a problem. Let's you know what? The first person to type it in. Give me a number between 1 and 500. Oh, first person, Kim, says 33. All right, 33. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 33 is Ray. I hope I say this right. Ray Palasek. Palasek. P-A-L-E-C-E-K. Palasek. So Ray, you also won. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating today. And sorry the rest of you guys didn't win, but we've got some really fun things planned for next year. Just to give you guys, I'm going to activate my camera again. Hopefully you guys can see me here. Do you guys see this box over here on the ground? See that box? That thing is full of 2016 devices. Absolutely full. We've got a lot of new devices coming out next year, and a lot of fun things, a lot of really exciting things happening. So I'm very excited to see you guys joining our webinars. We're going to be doing one hopefully every single week, whether it's me or Whitney or both. We'll be giving stuff away. We'll be introducing new devices that will completely change the way you approach security and smart home solutions. And we can't thank you guys enough for all of your questions and your comments and things like that. Getting lots of people asking, are we going to send this out, send out this PowerPoint? I am going to take this and we're going to turn this into a PowerPoint, and we'll put it on the dealer portal. If you don't have access to the dealer portal, I want you to send us an email at portalaccess@qualsys.com. Again, that's portalaccess@qualsys.com. We'll get you access to the dealer portal. It'll be on the sales and marketing tab there. We'll have this webinar as well as the PowerPoints from all of our other webinars put out there for you guys, so you can use them as sales tools, so you can use them for whatever you need. Again, our goal as a marketing department is to give you everything you possibly need to be as successful as you'd like to be in your respective areas, in your respective realms. Whether you're marketing online, you're marketing person to person, whether you're marketing at shows, whether you're marketing through referrals, however it is you're selling and training, we want to give you all this stuff you need. And hopefully we've been able to do that throughout this past year. Thank you so much, guys, for attending, and thank you for making these webinars so successful. We've really enjoyed doing these this year. It was because of your feedback that we've decided to increase the frequency of these, and that we're going to continue to increase the frequency of these in the coming year. We've got some really fun, exciting things planned already. Partnerships with companies like Rapid Response, who are going to share some of their secrets in monitoring and the technology that's available to you from a monitoring station standpoint. We've got Lainey from alarm.com that's going to talk to us about wellness and all the great devices and features of the alarm.com wellness platform. Caitlin Kiley, who you remember from a webinar earlier this year, and I are going to do a webinar about the alarm.com and Qualys builder programs. We've got lots and lots of really fun and interesting things, in addition to the standard stuff of new devices, IQ panel overviews, things like that. So if you guys have an idea of a webinar you'd love to attend, some subjects that you'd like to learn about, things you need, things you want, please let us know. Email me. You guys, most of you have my email address because usually these things come out to you from me. You can also type it into the question box or give us feedback after the webinar, whatever you like. But again, we can't thank you enough for all your participation. And please have a very happy and safe holiday this year. Remember to arm your systems. Remember to create your rules so your thermostats turn themselves down when you leave the house for the holidays, so that your doors lock themselves automatically and your garages close. Set your image sensors to peek in on Christmas Eve so you can catch the fat man filling your stockings. We hope you have a fantastic holiday season, and we can't wait to talk to you again at the beginning of the year. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.